numbers also, auto sales numbers for the month of November have been coming in as well. And putting the spotlight on that one, M&M's total sales for the month of November had risen by 19% on a year-on-year basis, while total exports saw a tick of around 5%. My colleague Sudarshan actually spoke to the management of the company on their performance. Listen in to a slice of that conversation.
We built 56,336 SUVs domestically. That's a growth of 22% for the month, year on year. And if you see year to date itself, we are at about 18% growth, volume growth, which is in line with the mid to high teens growth we projected for our SUVs portfolio as well. So I would say November was driven by 2-3 factors. Of course, one is there's continued traction coming post GST 2.2 reforms. So we see some of that continuing to play out as well. There was a little bit of pent-up demand, I would say, which got missed in October because we had some logistics challenges across the industry. So that's the other thing. And then fairly strong wedding season in North as well. So all of these 3 factors helped out in November on both the SUV front, and we have had a strong growth on the LCV, on the light commercial vehicles front as well. Going into December, I think the focus changes a little bit. We'll be focused primarily around ensuring that the dealer stock largely get consumed and be delivered to customers, because there's a wind switchover which happens between December and Jan as well. So really, that's what the entire focus is going to be on retails. But I see the momentum generally continuing overall across the portfolio, whether it's Scorpio N or XEV 3XO or any of the other models in the portfolio that we have.
So do you think that we are approaching the year end, so will the discounts increase? So normally, historically, we have seen that discounts at the end of the year do increase compared to previous few months.
Yeah, we're generally a little bit disciplined on where we put discounts, and we are very targeted. So I would think that specific variants within certain models will have some discounting going on, just to kind of ensure that the stocks get maintained and optimized at the right level. But beyond that, the reality is December is a month of folks trying to get a best deal. And so we might do something targeted basis, but really something which will be well within what we normally do in December, because the secular trend on growth continues to be strong.
Great. So on the EV front, so you had 2 EVs till now. Now that you are coming with another one, mainly XEV 9S, I'll talk about, not the Formula Edition. And the launch is happening in the month of, not launch, so bookings will start and deliveries in January of 2026. So right now, if I'm correct, the range, that monthly range is in the range of 4,000 to 5,000 units. So what exactly, if I say including XEV 9S, what will be the monthly run rate that you are looking at?
Yeah, it's very early days, to be honest. So far, the traction has been very positive from our media friends who have reviewed the vehicle. But our expectation is that we should get good traction on 9S. And so, like I said, I won't be able to talk about demand, but what we are doing on the production side is we are operationalized about 5,000 monthly capacity between the 2 models we have, which is 9E and the E6. With the 3rd model coming in, we're increasing that operational capacity from 5,000 to 8,000, which will kick in the late part of March, early part of April next year. So in some ways, if you look at it, that could be a proxy you can think about. But between the 3 models, our expectation is that we will be using about 80-85% of that 8,000 capacity.
Okay, so one thing just I want to ask, because SUV has been in the focus now for the last few years. And now everyone, including you, has been going very aggressive on EV front. So customer-wise now, suppose that few customers earlier were looking for SUVs of yours, Thar, Bolero, and etc. Now, do you think the same kind of customers are going towards EVs, or for EVs, just it's a completely new set of customers?
Yeah, we've seen both of that play out. You're right. The initial traction that we had on the EVs, especially BE6 and XEV 9E, was primarily from a customer who traditionally doesn't buy Mahindra. Almost 80% of the customers who came for these 2 models were non-Mahindra buyers to the extent. So in some ways, it opened a whole new category for us. But having said that, I think the feedback we've gotten over the last few quarters is folks are looking for a vehicle which has the authentic SUV stance, has the kind of road presence of an authentic SUV. And with 9S, we are bringing in a product which caters to that audience, which, if I may call it, that would be the loyalists, if I may put them, label them that way. So my sense is between these three models, you'll start to see that core part of the market come into play. But at the same time, the previous two models, which are very design driven, very, very forward looking, those start to attract a different segment of customers for us.
Great. So this time, for this month, what I have seen in the Vahan registration data, one segment that has been like, it has surprised positively is the commercial vehicle segment. And I can see that even your less than 2 tons, whether the growth is like kind of 5%, but between 2 to 3.5 tons, you have seen a growth of 20%. So if you can talk about some of the factors that are aiding growth in commercial vehicle. And another question regarding three-wheelers. So you have given 8,568 units. How much of this would be coming from electric side?
Yeah. So I'll comment largely on the light commercial vehicles. Three-wheelers is a separate division. I might make a point or two. But I think the good news across the commercial segment has been that the GST 2.0 has triggered the next wave of growth for us, right? For the industry as well as for us. Really, that segment, if you look at it, is incumbent on TCO numbers, right? Total cost of ownership and your viability of your vehicle operations is critical for that. And with the GST cut, you basically made the TCO much more attractive. And it's a segment over the last couple of years, if you think about it, has not grown as much. It's been fairly muted. But the replacement cycle, which was impending, that got triggered by the GST 2.0. And most of that we are starting to see in the 2 to 3.5 ton category. Less than 2 ton is a little bit muted, but it's also because I think the industry trend is moved closer to the 2 to 3.5 ton category as well. So some of the industry movement is happening there. That's getting reflected in the growth numbers that you talked about. But in general, we're delighted to see that the replacement cycles have started to kick in for the industry, and we're able to take large benefit out of that as well.
So do you agree that new cycle for CV has begun, or like we are into this new cycle? Because some of the brokerages have written about this, that we are into a new cycle and it might go on for another almost 2 years. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so the commercial segment generally works in replacement cycles. Somebody buys the vehicle, uses it for about 4 to 5 years, and then after that they put it on the second-hand market, take the money which comes out of it, and put it as down payment for 1 or 2 vehicles, right? So that generally is the replacement cycle which happens. That cycle of 4 to 5 years should have happened about 6 to 12 months ago. It didn't happen primarily because the TCO equation wasn't great. But once the GST 2.0 came in, I think the TCO became attractive, and therefore we also believe that the replacement cycle is starting to kick in at this point in time, which should have happened a little bit earlier, but I'm glad that it's happening right now.
Okay, that's the management of M&M, but we need to take a short break at this point in time. We'll get you more on the markets, a lot of stocks in focus, and the finance minister, in fact, has tabled the Health Say National Security Bill in the Parliament as well. So that is something that we will also be touching on. Stay tuned.